My name is Chipiwa Kodisang. Today, I would like us to have a conversation on career development for postgraduate studies. As a postgraduate student, it is important to take some time to reflect on your career. As we start our conversation on career development, it is important to take some time to also look at the perception versus the actuality or the reality of career development. There are some few questions that are important for this reflection. The first question is, how do you view your decision to study further? It is important to think about, are you aiming for a specific promotion? And if you are aiming for that specific promotion, what is required? Or is the intention of your postgraduate studies just to add your general career progression? In other words, you just want to study further because you've got an honors, you want to do a master's, or you have got a master's, you want to do your PhD. It is also important to think about the skills that you will master within the postgraduate qualification. Apart from the qualification, when you exit that specific postgrad qualification, what are the skills that you have mastered? Are you in need of specific skills that requires you to complete a particular postgrad? It is also important that if you are already working, you also think about the skills and qualifications that you require to be promoted, but not only to be promoted, to be satisfied. And this is important. You need to understand your own personal reason to develop in your career and why you need that specific qualification. Is it for the purpose of the work, or is it the purpose of the personal growth? Let's also talk about choosing a career. There is always a perception that once you have chosen your career and you have completed your undergraduate qualification, your career problems has been resolved. So in this fact, an understanding is that you only choose your career when you start with your undergrad and then you don't have problems anymore. The actuality is that once you have completed your first level of studies, you need further studies to gain skills, entry into certain levels of job, or to be promoted. Therefore, this makes making career decision a lifelong process. You need to make a different decision at different times of your life. As we discussed earlier on, at a particular point of your life, you need to make a career decision so that you can progress in your career, or you can get promotion, or to get personal satisfaction. Let's now focus on career development at a postgraduate level. Now that you are on a postgraduate level, you need to reflect on your career and study journey. The following questions could help you. What have you hoped for when you started with your career journey? Where are you now? It is important to reflect on where you are now, because that helps you to connect where you are now and your future career vision. Because if you can't reflect on where are you now, sometimes you will make a haphazard decision with regard to where you need to be. Also taking a step back to say, initially, where was my idea? What was I hoping for when I started with my studies? And whether you are still in the same career track of what you wanted to achieve. It is important to normalize the feelings. When reflecting on the questions we spoke about earlier on, it is normal to feel disconnected to your future career goals. You might feel that you are not even closer to what you had hoped for. You might even feel lost and disconnected. At times, it is also normal to feel that you are scared. You are scared that you will not make it. For example, you are scared that you might not be selected to a master's. You are also scared that you might not be employed. It is also quite normal to feel like you are stuck. You are stuck maybe because you feel that you have made the wrong decision and you have no way out. I want to inform you that sometimes we have made certain decisions based on the information that we had at that particular time when we made those career decisions. Not necessarily that you made a wrong decision. For example, you chose a career in psychology because your understanding was that on completion of a degree, you will be a psychologist. Now, you have realized that you actually need a master's degree to become a psychologist. You might be feeling very stuck in your honors. You might be feeling very confused and scared to say, what if I don't get selected in the masters? And even feeling like maybe you have made the wrong decision. But you didn't make the wrong decision. You made the best decision based on the information you have. You could also have lost confidence in yourself and you think you are not a suitable person for the career. For the reasons I just mentioned now, you could also feel like I am not good enough to be selected. I might not be able to keep up with the competition of selection. The future could seem so uncertain at different levels. Different levels, will I be able to provide for my family? Will I be able to get a job? Will I be able to provide for myself financially? Because at that time, it could be normal to feel as if the reality is different to what you have heard or you have envisioned. I want to inform you it's quite normal in our career journey to feel that way, to feel very different. And sometimes I also want to emphasize that it's normal to feel like you can't share because people could laugh at you, to feel like nobody have gone through what I'm going through. It is also quite normal to look at other people and they seem so sorted in their career and you even feel more like you are not good enough and that you have made a wrong career decision. Have you thought about? I want us to look at some of the things that you need to think about. You need to think about what type of opportunities are you preparing for? What type of problems do you want to solve? You also need to think about what can I do with the qualification I have? What can you do with this qualification you have? It could be the honors degree, it could be a master's degree. What type of contribution you can make in the society with your qualification? And also to think about how do you start preparing to be this person you want to be in the future? All these questions are important because if you are aware of the type of opportunities you are preparing for, you could start even on your own to contribute towards the society because you realize that the knowledge and the skills I have already from my undergraduate qualification could assist. You are not only waiting for somebody to validate your qualification and your skills, you have thought about what you have and the type of opportunities you are looking at. When thinking about the future, it's important to take some time to think about what you need in order to progress in your career. It's also important to think about what type of qualification will be the most appropriate qualification for you. That is, will it be necessary to pursue a master's or you actually need to develop certain skills? Let me elaborate. Maybe you already have an honors in your field of study, but for the type of opportunities you are preparing for, you need to learn something like project management as a skill. It means that when thinking about your career and the type of opportunities or career development positions you require, instead of pursuing your master's degree, you might choose to do maybe a short learning program in project management, maybe an online course on project management, just to develop those skills. You also need to think about what other things that you can do now in order to prepare for the future. For example, volunteer work. Maybe you need to pursue a career that you need to prove that you have other skills. You need recommendation. And maybe then you could consider it's important for me to start preparing for recommendation when I go for selection for masters or for PhD. I volunteer in a particular field. It might not even be the field related to your career, but because you need to prove that you have developed certain skills, you will choose to volunteer. Another important part of career development is career information. You need to ask yourself, what type of information do you need about managing your career development? Sometimes we feel very stuck or confused or demotivated because we don't have information. But also sometimes we also don't even know what type of information we need. It is also important to understand, who do you need to talk to? Who can help you with the information you require? Most often we even forget to think about your lectures or even the modules you are studying as a first line of career information. I have seen in some of the tutorials, they also share information that is related to your career. They also give you fields of study, of fields of specialization. That's very important information for your career development. It is important to think about different sources of information. You must also think about, what do you do with the information? Sometimes we have the ability to gather the information, but then we don't know what to do with that information, to the extent that we still remain overwhelmed or uninformed even when we have the information. So it's important to know what to do with the information. If you gather information, you need to take a step back and say, what do I need to do with the information? How does this information changes what I need to do, or how will I do different things differently now that I have this information? What are the gaps? What are the things that I still need to do? Because that reflective part on the information you have, it helps you to manage your career and your career development. As we continue with the conversation about career information, as I said earlier, you need to be very clear on the purpose of gathering career information in order not to lose your voice. As we gather information about our careers, sometimes we can lose our voice because the people we are interacting with, they become dominant. They influence our career development in such a way that our voice becomes mute. You might end up hearing other people's voices and their views about your career development. That is not the purpose of career information. You also need to be careful of information about how you process information about other people's fears. Reflection is very important to say, did I hear this person talking about the information I required, or I heard this person talking about their own career journey and their fears? This is more typical when a person have to go for selection. selection for careers such as maybe masters in psychology, where you need to be invited for the interviews. Should you talk to people who have gone through selection and they didn't make it, they will tell you how hard is it, how unfair is the process. That could instill a lot of fears in you. So it's important to be very careful not to internalize other people's fears, and also to be careful when you choose a person you are going to talk to, especially for career information. You can learn more about managing your career by visiting our website. You can find more resources on how you can manage your studies and also manage your career more effectively. Thank you.